there's two things that can really help to support your nervous system. And one is to send signals of safety. So from that place of being safe, then you can create, then you can be sensual, then you can do all of these things, but you've got to feel safe first. So that's one. And then the second one ties into what you were sharing, which is slowing down. And we find ways to slow down because it's good for our nervous system, and good for your nervous system is good for your gut health and good for your immune system and all of those things.
Do you want to wake up feeling like you're stepping into who you're meant to be, into the best possible version of you? What if I told you that the key to your best life, health, and happiness are all around you? You just have to find what works for you. I'm Hope Pedraza, and I believe that there isn't just one way to live a healthy and meaningful life, and that all you need is a little inspiration to make changes that last from the inside out. Each week, I'll be sharing tangible tips and inspirational interviews to help you on your journey. These are the steps to take to improve your life and live with purpose. This is Hopeful and Wholesome. Hey y'all, welcome back to the show. Today I have on the show Sylvia Hall, and she has grown her company Lifted Naturals by helping tens of thousands of people feel better naturally through their mood probiotics. Together with her husband, they have created a unique well-being movement with this line. She prioritizes her role as a creative person who is in charge of her own joy and happiness, along with being a loving and supportive mom to her two teenage boys. And today we are talking about probiotics and mood. And she was so sweet enough to send me some, and I just got them in yesterday. So I'm going to start them soon. So I'll be able to tell you on the socials how it's going. But we're talking about probiotics and how it really does impact our mood. And she gets real specific because we all know there's a lot of information about probiotics and, well, supplements in general. And so Sylvia's going to share with us how exactly specific strands can affect our mood and some misconceptions about probiotics, maybe some myths, and really talk about how we can use these specific strains to help with specific aspects of our well-being. Let's jump in. All right, y'all, I'm here with Sylvia. I'm so excited to have you. Thanks for joining us today, Sylvia.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Okay. I know, as I mentioned before we started recording, we have talked about the gut plenty of times before. I just want to jump right in because I know your expertise is kind of gut health, probiotics, and mood. And so I would first love to know, because this is a pretty specific perspective on probiotics. This is, we just talk about it just in terms of overall gut health, right? So I'd love to know your journey of how you got here, and you have a probiotic line for this specific purpose, and what directly led you thinking okay, this is the mood thing is what the angle that I want to take on this.
So I actually kind of referred myself more of an expert in wanting to master mindset and motherhood. And I was unpleased with myself and where I was, frazzled, irritated. I was unimpressed with the solutions that were offered to me. They simply seemed to create more problems in my life. As a highly creative person, I was just looking for solutions. And so more than being some sort of, I'm not a chemist, I'm not a doctor, I'm actually just a really passionate mom who said, my kids deserve better. I deserve better. This is my life. I'm not going to just flush it down the toilet with good enough. Good enough wasn't good enough. And so I started to research different ways that I could impact my mood and feel better. And for me, I had tried a lot of different things, vitamins, herbs. But when I hit the specific strains of probiotics for mood support, it was like a light bulb went off for me. It was an immediate shift up, like an elevation, and hence the term of our company, Lifted Naturals. It was an elevated mood and spirit that I experienced. And so from that very personal experience, I began to do just research, looking into how is this working? How is this helping me? And it really boiled down to the specific strains of the probiotic bacteria. And the strains are really important when it comes to the mood support you're looking for. And I like to kind of share that the classification of probiotics, it's a little bit like a classification of dogs. If you don't understand it, you could get yourself in trouble. And what I mean by that would be, let's say that you look for a guard dog for your house. And someone's like, you got to get a dog. There's so much crime in your neighborhood. A guard dog will help you. And so you go and you grab yourself a Frenchie and you get this Frenchie and you're like, okay, I've got a guard dog. But it turns out this dog is actually not protecting you from the bad guys. He's just really cute and got that short mount. He's a different, he's got a different role, and it's not to protect the home. And so when it comes to probiotics, if you don't understand the specific strain and the classification, then you're not going to get that job done, just like the Frenchie may not protect your home.
Right.
So classification of probiotics goes like this. It's species, or excuse me, genus is the very broad term. So bifidobacteria, lactobacillus, and then species, which like rhamnosus, and then strain number, like GG, for instance. And so by understanding that simple premise and then researching each of those strains, which ones helped with mood, which ones help with stress, which ones help with cortisol, which ones help with different neurotransmitters. It was just this really basic research. And I do kind of like to dumb it down a bit because I'm not a genius. I'm just a passionate mom who absolutely refused to settle. And so, I love to share that when I help my daughter with her 8th grade, like algebra, it's not pretty. It's not my strong suit. It's not where I excel. And so I just am continually telling my kids, any kids that'll listen, you don't have to be good at everything. Follow those passions, follow that nudge, follow that fire that lights you up that says, I can do this better. This should be better. By gosh, here I go. And so, that was the start of me creating a company that was, in effect, able to retire my husband from his job as an engineer. I was a stay-at-home mom prior to the Lifted Naturals movement. Now, I've always been entrepreneurial, so I was always doing some kind of side passion projects and businesses. But yeah, once I got that idea for Lifted, I knew everything was going to change because I experienced it myself. And I literally had this momentum of passion that I hadn't really ever had for any of my other businesses. So yeah, the basics, or I know that was kind of a long-winded start, but it was really from a passion of wanting to feel better, understanding that gut-brain connection, which is that two-way communication. The gut talks to the brain talks to the gut, and you can support that communication with specific strains of probiotic bacteria. And so it was this trying different products that were on the market and saying, okay, this is making a difference, but I'm having to take like 8 different little things. And so I was piecing it together and I said, I can do this better. I can do this myself. And so I called around some different manufacturers until I was able to find someone that could bring my dream to life.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, it always makes it more impactful when it's your journey. Like this has been your journey. The business is always more impactful when it's coming from a place of like embodied wisdom. Like I've learned this on my own path. Like that definitely makes a difference. So I'm curious, was it for you, the mood part, was it like a postpartum thing? Like, did you suffer from postpartum depression? Was it just moodiness, just with your hormones regulating after kids? Like, what was it for you that kind of made you feel like, okay, I need to fix something?
Right. So the thing I really do love to share is something I just learned in the last few years, which is that it takes a woman's body 12 years to remineralize after giving birth. 12 stinking years.
It's insane. Yeah.
So like you're getting ready to have a teenager and your body's like, well, you did it. Great job.
Welcome to teenage years now.
Now you need to remineralize.
Exactly.
So I was like, my kids were not like babies by the time I was in this journey. So, but yes, it was still postpartum, right? It was still a postpartum experience of feeling zapped, feeling drained, feeling unmineralized, feeling undernourished, and, just not like, it was all those things you mentioned, just irritability, which a lot of irritability and feeling the need to control is that anxiety kind of like yelling internally at each other of trying to control things. So it was all of that. And yeah, for me, like I said, the herbs, I continue to try different ones. I just feel like for me, that's just not as aha of a match as what I experienced with probiotics. And this was this was a lifetime ago that I created this brand. It's over 8 years now. And I feel like my journey has really evolved as far as, yes, I still believe in probiotics for mood, but I really have seen like enough unravel that it's just one piece of the puzzle. Use it as a momentum generator, but there's so much more at play. And I think a lot of it is the energetics. So I used to be very mindset focused. Prior to starting Lifted, I was actually growing a practice as a life coach. I told you I had some passion projects. I was mostly a stay-at-home mom, but always dabbling. And as a coach, I was starting to build my practice, but I actually had this gas and brake energy going, which was as soon as I get some clients, I would be like, I don't have time for these clients. I've got like, my house is overrun, everything's a mess, and everybody wants food. And so it's like, okay, slow this down. But I wasn't saying slow this down. I was energetically like repelling clients perhaps. So I had this gas and brake energy that just was letting me know that that wasn't the ideal fit. So everything with Lifted was built under the funnel or the the lens of, is it scalable? And how can I make this a true business and not just be self-employed?
Mm-hmm.
And so that shift was really a big part of creating a lifestyle business where I could prioritize my own health and well-being.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of every effort to do that, there's still times I get sucked into the business and give myself a literal stomach ache. And I'm like, what is the irony here of this company? And the probiotics don't help with that. They don't help with an emotionally rooted disgust or frustration with a process in life. Like, so that's what I mean by I've come so full circle that I would never say like, oh, you got disgusted by something, like take a probiotic. Like, it's not quite like that. And yet, yeah, here I am continuing to experience the benefits of them, but also seeing a full picture that our health and well-being is really so multifaceted and so unique to each of us that it's a wild ride, this human stuff.
That's it. Yeah. And it is complex. And I mean, I say this all the time on the show, and I'm well, by the time this episode comes out, it will have been a while back, but I'm currently right now, there's a series on a podcast I'm talking about like worthiness and attaching productivity to our worthiness and how that impacts our body physically. And I say this in one of the episodes, like there are no amount of supplements you can take to rewire that. Like it's a rewiring that has to happen. So like that part you're talking about, like the anxiety, the frustration, like those patterns, like you can take all the probiotics all day long, but it's not going to fix those, beliefs and that wiring in the brain. So I love that you brought that up because it is a complex. I mean, it's not just, take a probiotic and everything's going to be fine. Like, but on the probiotic note, because you mentioned this, that everybody's different, right? So for the probiotics that you have, and specifically we're talking about mood, are the probiotics that you have, are there different ones you recommend for different people? Is it just like how do you kind of direct people what they're looking for in terms of what you have?
Yeah, great question. So when we launched the company, it was with one signature flagship product. It's called Mood Boosting Probiotic, and it continues to be our top seller to this day. It has 9 different strains of probiotic bacteria, plus the prebiotic GOS. That is the top studied prebiotic shown to help with mood and stress. And so they have this synergistic kind of formulation that really has provided a lot of great results. And all that to say, we, right after the launch of that, got customers writing us, hey, I'd love to try your probiotic, or I really want and need the mood support, but I have a histamine sensitivity. And I know that there's a couple strains in that formula that could be histamine problematic. And that is true. There's a couple in there. I didn't even know about histamines at this point. There's a couple of histamine degrading strains in the formula, and then a couple that could be problematic. So some people do just fine. But for my really sensitive birdies, like myself, actually, we found that keeping those strains out is better. So we then launched Bifidus Mood Boost, which is our Bifido-only probiotic formula that has that same GOS, but it leaves out the lactobacillus bacteria, which can sometimes be problematic for histamine-sensitive people. So then from there, it was like, oh, here comes the next customer, or bulk of them. I love the Bifido movement you've got going here, but actually I can't tolerate prebiotics. And that was I'm not talking one person. I'm talking a thread of listening to the customers, which is something a small business can do, right? We're small enough that we're listening, we're taking the feedback. And so from there, it was, okay, we need a more sensitive formula, but we're going to leave out the prebiotics for this one, and did a bit more research to find that Lactobacillus rhamnosus GG is a type of lactobacillus that does not cause that histamine issue. And so we included that in Mood Super Strains, which is our third probiotic that we came out with for mood. And so that one has continued to be a very good solution for a lot of people because it's a probiotic only. And then last but not least, and when I came out with this fourth one, I said, I'm done. I'm not doing any more probiotics. Because when you confuse, you lose. And I did want to create formulas that created solutions for unique people, but I also know that it's overwhelming. Like, you walk up to the supplement wall in a store and you're like, oh, I have no idea. And so that fourth and final probiotic that we created is a spore-based formula. And it features 3 types of SBO organisms that's double. So it's SBO is spore-based organisms. So it's not an organism. But anyway, the spore-based probiotic is better for those really tricky digestive issues. And that's why I wanted to have a formula that contained those spore-based probiotics, because I had found that when someone's really dealing with some gut issues, they could usually benefit from the spore-based. And so we kept the prebiotics out of that one too, so that I had this kind of more clear, like, these 2 have probiotics and prebiotics. These 2 have probiotics only. These are more histamine sensitive. this one has the spore base so that it's better for those who have those really tough digestive issues. And then from there with those four, there are lots of customers who say, I buy these two and I rotate them, or I buy these two and I combine them into my smoothie. And you can kind of create an even further custom formulation, but also lots of people who just find one, love it, and stick with it.
Yeah, that's the power of listening to what the people want. I mean, this is how you build a business that really serves people. And it's not just about the business. I mean, I love that you listened, and it's like, and it's so specific because you're right. It is overwhelming. And I think that's why I wanted to ask, because I know people, I mean, anywhere you go, I mean, in the information overwhelm is real too, just on the internet. And there's so much misinformation. My gosh, I saw something yesterday. There's two things yesterday. And I'm like, where are we? Like, just completely false information. I'm like, and it's like, big name people spouting stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like,
here's the thing though, with false stuff though, like I feel like I've been in this long enough that I feel like for everything, you can find evidence that lists the opposite of anything you find.
That's so true.
So we used to have a vitamin C supplement and it was an ascorbic acid. And I found a lot of evidence that said, no, you really need a whole food C. And I felt just bad and wrong about it. I also had a blend. It's called the mood boosting blend, and it had vitamin D in it. And I found a lot of information that said vitamin D is a hormone. It is not to be supplemented. You need it from the sun. When you take it as a vitamin, you're wrong. Like,
right. Yes.
And then you stay in the world long enough and it's full circle. Like, well, yes. And
exactly.
And so actually those two products, and there's various reasons too. It's not like they were like a top seller and we disappointed a ton of people, but there were some people that were pretty disappointed. And I was following that intuitive nudge, which was what created the business to begin with. But for every time you see something like that though, like, and I know this just further leads to that information overwhelm, but it's like there's information or
on
studies
both sides. For both sides. Yeah, exactly. That's it. Somebody said that the other day, like about the seed oils thing, not to go down a rabbit hole because I don't want to debate it. But yeah, I know, right? But I mean, really, you can find studies that show seed oils are bad, seed oils are good. And you're so right. There's so much. But I like that with the probiotics you have, you've simplified it. It's like, I mean, that's really everything you need. Like gut health, mood stabilization, like mental health. Like, I mean, I think that covers it. Like, just like you started at the beginning about the gut brain connection. I mean, we talked about this so many times on the show. The gut is the only other place in the body that has neurons. Like we have to treat it as like the gut, the brain, like we have to treat them as equal, as important as they are. I think sometimes we forget, we just think about gut health and we forget that whole like gut brain connection thing and how important it is to support both.
Yes. And I think there's so many other ways besides even just the food we eat and the probiotics we consume. It's like the stress levels impact our gut. I actually love getting some sunshine on my tummy. I love to put my feet on the earth and I feel that like electrical current that just flows through my body and yes, through my gut. Like there's so many things that are more than just the food we eat. And to me, thinking of a full picture and that stress component, it really is so big that I feel like we can't ignore it anymore. So whatever it is that's stressing you out, and I think a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not stressed. Like life's pretty good. Like sometimes it's not about like what we're doing or seeming so stressed, but our way of being is so frenzied that we can't even recognize our own stress because it's just so habitual. And so, earlier you're talking about your series and like that idea of the achievement culture is what I like to call it. I can get caught up in it. And it's not necessarily that compare myself to others, but it's the achievement of like trying to get my personal best, like pushing myself. Like, there's so many motivational posters that say, don't compare yourself to others, just be better than you were yesterday. Well, guess what? I'm getting tired.
Yeah.
and I always want to be better than yesterday. What if today I want to be snugglier than yesterday or chiller so it's like, and this all points back to following a schedule that's laid out for us, which is a 24-hour cycle, which is a man's rhythm.
Yep.
And it's a beautiful thing for a man to follow a 24-hour cycle. And yet we have a 28-day cycle. And when we honor that rhythm, then we will be snugglier some days and we will be bossing some other days and like trusting the rhythms, enjoying the rhythms. Like, can you enjoy your slow day as much as you do your productive day?
That's it. That's exactly it.
As the female business owner that is continuing to run the business, like that's the game I get to play. The challenge I get to bring is like, how can I be authentic and do this in a way that actually honors my body and my gut health and not betray it in the name of business? And I'm not saying I've mastered any of this. These are questions, okay? These are open-ended questions
That's
that I
right. Work in
propose.
progress.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, all good stuff that I think can really help, hopefully, people to give themselves a break.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it's true. And I think that, I mean, like you said, the achievement culture is a real thing. And because it's not always external pressure. A lot of it is internal pressure. You know, for me, that a lot of it wasn't even external pressure. I wasn't trying to, it was just me. It was me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was conditioning, you know, that I had to deal with. And I think that whether it's internal or external drivers, it's still, like you said, well, and our bodies are so good at adapting.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think you made a great point that, like we say on the, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not stressed. Like my life is, but our bodies are so adaptable and our bodies
Mm-hmm.
adapt. And we have this underlying like anxiety kind of running the show day in, day out. And sometimes it's like when you get nose blind to something, it's like your body just doesn't even recognize it anymore. That's what the anxiety is, what's driving the bus.
Yes. And I feel like another good point here is that when it comes to the nervous system and the number one way I continue to see, well, there's two things that can really help to support your nervous system. And one is to send signals of safety. So from that place of being safe, then you can create, then you can be sensual, then you can do all of these things, but you've got to feel safe first. So that's one. And then the second one ties into what you were sharing, which is slowing down.
Mm.
So have you ever noticed, like, I'm a mom, so I'm zipping around, right?
Yes.
Like I'm fitting this and this and this in because I care so much and so deeply about them. And I want them to have this and this ready because they've got busy days and they've got busy lives. But as I continually prioritize all these things for them, it's like, well, if I don't go fast, then guess who gets left in the dust? My passions, my pursuit. And they always say, don't do that, Mom. Don't do that. It's like, well, I'm figuring it out. Okay. I'm figuring it out on my own here. But that has led to me being even more rushed. And who even would have thought you could rush more than what I had already been rushing? But turns out as mothers, we can flip a switch. We can turn it on and we can get it
100%.
done.
Yep.
But for how long, right?
Right.
Until our body says, enough,
Mm-hmm.
enough of this. I am sick of being last, right? And then it will scream at us. And so we listen to the whispers.
Yes.
And we find ways to slow down because it's good for our nervous system, and good for your nervous system is good for your gut health and good for your immune system and all of those things. Safety signals and slowing down. Two things. So simple.
So yeah, it's crucial. When you did all your research and you were starting to, I guess experiment on yourself is what I want to say with
Yes.
with the strains, right? Yeah. What do you feel like was the biggest shift? Obviously your mood, but specifically, what do you feel like was the biggest shift for you?
So I think that leads right into what I always tell people, like, pay attention to how you feel when you take anything new. If you're taking a new supplement or a new anything, pay attention to how you feel. And for me, it was just a lightness, like a little bit like like that pressure and heaviness kind of just lifted. And a lot of people would say, if I say, oh, you've been trying this or that new thing, how's it going? Like, I don't really know. Like,
Right.
You don't know. Where you been? What are you doing? Well, we're busy. We're zipping around.
That's it.
So by slowing down and paying attention, and that was exactly what I was doing when I was experimenting on myself. I was like, I would take it and then I'd like, wait, right? And that was when I took our very first product, mood boosting probiotic. It was brand new. I had 750 bottles that I had like bought. Like, here's the thing. We're going to start with this. And now, of course, we put in orders of like 10,000 for mood boosting. But, you know, when I say put in orders, we have a manufacturer here in the US that we've built a great relationship with, that we trust, GMP certified, la, la, la. They do testing on the raw ingredients, testing on the final product. You know, those high integrity standards are a top priority. But yeah, when I took the first of our formula, and this was 8 years ago, I don't think I had any histamine issues, or not nearly as many then, because it was for me very beneficial in the beginning, which was so beautiful because it really helped me to be able to sell the product.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, for me, it was a lightness, just a general shift of that pressure being released, of the heaviness of the thoughts, the worries, the chatter. It felt like that was just a little bit gone.
That's huge. I mean, I think that's huge. I think that's what I was saying earlier, and you just kind of put a label on it, that that feeling of the anxiety kind of running the show when we think like, I'm not because I've had clients tell me that, well, I'm not an anxious person, or, I'm not like clinical anxiety, right? I'm not like on anxiety medication, but it's just that heaviness that you're talking about. That's what's running the show. I think for so many women, they don't realize or recognize that's what's running the show. To be able to experience that feeling of the heaviness versus the lightness, that's a huge shift for so many.
Yeah. And it does require paying attention.
Yes.
Right. And
Awareness.
I think that that's the other element. Like my husband, for instance, when he started taking our probiotic, like we didn't even realize, but he was in and out of the bathroom much quicker. And it was like, oh, that wasn't like, you don't recognize the habitual patterns or your ways of being necessarily. You don't see them as a problem sometimes, but whenever you are able to address them and support them in a new way, and suddenly that it's like, oh, well, that's interesting. I didn't even realize. And so a lot of people will say, how do I know if a mood probiotic is right for me? And I generally like to narrow it down to these two areas. Like if you're struggling at all with digestion and you're struggling at all with mood, then a mood probiotic is probably a really good idea to try.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes total sense. What do you think are there any like myths or misconceptions or misunderstandings that people have about probiotics that you like to address?
So I do love probiotic rich foods. And if you have a histamine sensitivity, then likely those are going to cause problems for you. So if you're somebody who can have kefir, is that how you say it? We argue about it in my family.
Kefir? Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure there's multiple ways to say it.
The probiotic lady should know by now, but we literally jokingly say it the wrong way or different ways. So
you're like, I don't know what the real way is now. Yeah.
Yeah. Sauerkraut, kimchi, like those are like yummy ways to get yogurt, to get probiotics. And yet if you are somewhat sensitive, then you probably can't consume those without dealing with some sinus congestion, headaches, itchiness, some different issues like that. So I think that maybe a misconception would be a probiotic lady like that has their own company would say, don't eat probiotic rich foods. But instead, like, absolutely, like if you can tolerate them, that's great. Another one is our bottle does say take with food, but we have customers who write us and say, I like to take it at night or in the morning and I haven't gotten around to food. Mm-hmm. And it seems as if it works either way.
Yeah,
so it does say take with food. And I feel like the reason our lab team said that was because it helps the stomach to be a little less acidic and help the good bacteria get where it needs to go when you have food in there. But to the same extent, it's like it's not going to work if you don't take it. And so we'd rather you take it on an empty stomach. And I think it's still plenty productive. But yeah, there's another one as far as, is it going to make me tired or is it going to give me energy? That's very individual. So the same exact formula could make one person a little bit sleepy versus another person feels very energized by them. And so as much as I love to like be able to guide people directly, like, oh, don't do this or do that. Like I usually say start in the middle of the day because it's not going to have like a huge, like I'm not talking about like falling over to sleep like, Energizer Bunny all of a sudden either. It's usually a subtle thing that if you pay attention to, then you can say, oh yeah, interesting. Okay, I'll take it earlier or later in the day. So that might be useful.
Yeah, no, always helpful. And I think the key takeaway in all of that was you have to first learn how to listen to your body to be able to detect all of those, feeling the benefits, feeling if I should take it at a different time of day, et cetera. So I think that's a big part of it, just learning to listen to your body.
And I think the reason many of us struggle to listen to our body, if I'm not mistaken, the key reason could be just the noise that's all around us. So we live in a very noisy world. We get way more information than we ever used to get. And so it can be hard to really separate how I'm feeling and how I'm being told I should feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So kind of like slowing down is good for the nervous system, like listening to your body, stillness or silence or, quietness is good for that. And that might mean a little less scrolling, if you will.
Little less, a lot of things. I think a lot of us get scared to be in the space and the silence. We don't know what's going to come up, but that's the only way you learn how to listen and hear the signals. And you talked a second ago about your intuition and letting your intuition lead you in your business. I mean, you also are blocking out intuition. We're not taking the space to listen to our body enough. So I think, there's so many things you're missing out on by crowding out that noise. So I think that's important.
I mean, the entire lifted movement, I think, it's an intuitive nudge that I followed. So got to follow those nudges.
That's it. You have to. Imagine what's possible. I love this. This is such a valuable conversation. And thank you for leading this and leading the movement to helping all of us lift our mood. So this is great. I have one more question I want to ask you that I like to ask everybody as we wrap up. But can you let everybody know where they can find out more about you and about your line of probiotics?
Yeah. So if you go to liftednaturals.com, it immediately prompts you to say shop on Amazon or shop in our store. Now, most companies don't do this. They just try to grab you in their store. But what we found is that people who are already paying for Prime and are used to that fast shipping, they're happiest when they just can go shop where they want to shop. So we want our customers happy. We are a customer first business. And so you can just go straight from Lifted Naturals over to Amazon, or even go to Amazon and type in our products. That's fine too. Obviously, we do have our own shop too, and people can shop there. You can sign up for our email newsletter all through that liftednaturals.com. So that's the key place to really learn more about our products and what we're up to and where to buy from us.
Perfect. Of course, that will be in the show notes, so you can go check that out and try them out for yourself. So the last question I want to ask you, Sylvia, what do you think is the most important thing you can do to live with purpose?
Okay, so I think it boils down to honoring your own gifts and desires. And so many people don't really have a bead on that because they're so outwardly focused. And we're told by our grandma, we're good at this. And it's with good intentions, right? And our mom is always so proud of us for doing that. And our dad just lit up when we did this other thing. And it can really be alluring to just follow that path of what makes them proud, but it can lead to a dead end for many of us. And so really leaning into purpose is about, why am I here and what am I good at and what lights me up? Because when we can tap into that internal energy reservoir, we can do so much good, so much more than when we just eat a healthy meal or get 9 hours of sleep. We can tap into something bigger, deeper, something so much bigger than ourselves. And that all ties back to our soul, or that intuitive nudge, or whatever you want to call it. That to me is the real key to getting back to what you're really here to do.
Oh, that was a beautiful answer. Thank you for sharing that. I couldn't agree more. Thank you for this, Sylvia. This is so good. Y'all go check out Lifted Naturals. Check the links in the show notes and check out what Sylvia's doing. And thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all your insight and your wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you, Hope. You're amazing.
Thanks for listening to Hopeful and Wholesome, y'all. If you found value in this week's episode, please subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave a review to let me know what you thought. I'd love to know what you find useful in these episodes so I can know how to provide the most value I can to my listeners. And if you have topics you'd like to know more about, I'd love to hear those as well. So shoot me a message on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. It's @TheHopePedraza, or you can visit my website, hopefulandwholesome.com. Thanks, y'all.